5 minutes before recording.
This is Wanda. Hey, guys.
So,
Ooh.
it's 4 a.m. on Friday.
My brain doesn't work this early.
Let's see how this goes.
Oh, man. So, we just saw episode 3 of WandaVision. By the way, I'm Daniel.
I'm Andrew.
And we are everyday nerds. And if you don't mind, hit the like button, subscribe to us, hit the notification bell. We are your everyday nerds. And only we will come to you at this early hour to bring you the latest in WandaVision.
Yeah. Just by the way, McDonald's didn't sponsor us. I don't have the energy to change cups tonight.
They are never sponsoring us.
But let's just get into it. So, the episode just starts kind of exactly where we left off, but a decade later.
Yeah, and a different house. Obviously, everything's stylized for the 70s in this one, so...
I think it's supposed to be the Partridge Family, but I'm not sure. It just gave me those vibes.
Partridge or the Brady Bunch or one of them. This episode was kind of boring for most of it. Vision seems to have said that, hey, she got pregnant last night, and now look how big she is.
Yeah.
Where did this come from? They're dealing with the doctor. You know, he plays oblivious to it, obviously. And then, one thing we've noticed was the episode probably took place in one day, one afternoon. And she got pregnant quick, and she grew a big belly. And her powers were all a mess.
So the babies come kind of fast, and it makes me wonder if they're going with the comic book line with Mephisto, where she accidentally steals some of his life force to make these babies, because then he comes and, kills the babies to take it back.
I don't know enough about that storyline to really...
I was watching close. I didn't see any other signs of him.
Yeah, there were
some
no
stuff
signs.
Was really just popping in really fast.
Well,
so basically she had the babies, but in the build-up that was very short, but it felt kind of long.
Well, she had the babies. Yeah, well, I mean, he was aware that it was taking place way too quickly.
But
he was cool with it. I mean, he didn't act like it was. He acted like it was weird, but he just rolled with it still.
Well, there was still when he said, she rewinded him because he knew something.
Well, yeah, but we'll get into why. He knows what's going on to a degree. It's starting to sink in. He didn't notice it in the first 2 episodes. This episode, the strangeness of the babies, and some of the things other people are saying are making him more aware.
Yeah.
This episode was more boring, I think, in a lot of places. I mean, especially once, what's her name? Geraldine. Especially when she got alone with her, the stork was being funny, and, she was trying to hide her being pregnant. And she seemed to be with the pain of, she's losing control of her powers. She's making stuff happen. She created a stork. And then she couldn't poof the stork away. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and it was always red smoke, so maybe that was a little bit of foreshadowing for what's coming.
Maybe the stork is, maybe that's him.
Yeah, and they're also, in the cast list, Geraldine is credited as Monica Rambeau, if that's how you say it, which is a totally different character.
This is Monica Rambeau. Interesting.
So, it's a little interesting. I mean, maybe that's just to throw people off. Maybe not.
Well, nah. I mean, it probably is Monica Rambeau. The last time we saw her in Marvel, she was a little girl back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So, obviously, she's had time to grow up.
But while we're on her character, just talking about the childbirth. Because, I mean, there's nothing really to talk about before that. That's all just silly kind of...
Silly stuff. There's one scene that we'll talk about later a little bit more, but getting to the childbirth, they had the first child.
Well, and even before that, she was saying, I can't do this, I can't do this. And maybe it meant the babies, but maybe it was just kind of
I think it
her
was
in
just
reality.
a pregnant thing, kind of.
I don't, but she said it weird. Like, I feel like she's like, I can't do this. Like, she was being forced, and like, it's kind of just her mental state. Because like, when somebody's tired of doing stuff, they always say, I can't do this.
Well,
That's what she seemed like.
I just like question how she was. Like every time she had a contraction, she lost control of her powers. She was making stuff happen. We haven't seen her lose control like that yet, and it was like, were the pains of the babies that much, or creating the babies? Is the way she did. I mean, like, we don't know if these are really just her babies. I mean, let's face it, Vision's supposed to be dead. So, and plus, how does that even work? Are these really hers, or are these babies that she pulled, from somewhere else that she's using as hers? And we did get one commercial, by the way, in here.
I think that commercial has a much deeper meaning than we originally thought.
Yeah, it's a Hydra commercial, in case you didn't notice.
But it's a Hydra soap, and the whole commercial is about a girl who's wanting to get away from everything happening in the real world.
But she just can't.
Does that not sound a little bit familiar to, like, a plot of a certain show that maybe we've talked about before?
I mean, maybe you're reading into it too much. Maybe we're not. Maybe it is just Hydra wanting to make sure you're clean.
Right.
You never know. One of the things about the commercial was, obviously the whole time you're trying to figure out what's the tie-in to the universe on this one, and then Hydra soap. Did they have a company? I mean, I didn't feel like Hydra was a company.
Everything is stuff she's known.
So these probably, Stark's obviously a real company, but these other two probably may not be.
And there's a deeper thing in the Stark that we didn't even talk about, so I'll just reference it real fast. So when it's beeping right before the toast comes out, it's the same sound from when a Stark bomb blew up in the first Iron Man. And what killed her parents?
It was a Stark bomb. So one of the things that we noticed about this episode is, like we said, it's kind of boring. But when we go back to when Vision started thinking things were weird, and she rewound him.
Yeah.
So this is her narrative. This is her story. We wasn't positive after last week's episodes. I think a lot of YouTubers had some ideas, or they were jumping to conclusions that she was controlling it. But now we know she's controlling whatever reality they're in. She's controlling it.
To a certain degree, but yeah.
Especially to a certain degree. We don't know. I don't think she meant to get pregnant. I think that was kind of a wow. So we're going to find out more about that. And if you look at the previews, it looks like the babies do age pretty quick, too.
Like, we're really seeing either a lot more power from her,
or she just has control over this world she's made.
It's not really a world. It's more like a
dimension?
Football field, probably.
I don't know. It looked like it was a couple houses at least of the town. So I guess we should talk about Rambeau, Miss Monica Rambeau. She had a very interesting conversation when, after the babies were born, Wanda is kind of going a little crazy. She starts to sing a song in her native land. We tried to figure out which song it was, but it was just made up.
We even checked the captions, and it just says singing in Sokovian. But it's weird because she starts singing in Sokovian the only time that I think we've really heard her speak the actual language. I don't even think we heard it in Age of Ultron from her. We heard her accent, but we never heard the language.
Yeah, her accent has mysteriously disappeared. Every movie gets better.
But she starts using it right after her brother gets mentioned. Like, she says, I'm a twin. She tells, what are we calling her, Grinalda? Or Monica?
I'm calling her Rambeau now.
Rambeau. I don't even know if that's how you say it, but you know who we're talking about. But Rambeau, she tells her, oh, you have twins, and she says, oh, I'm a twin. My brother, Pietro. She starts singing. So she looks at her and says, your brother, or something, he was killed by Ultron, wasn't he?
Yeah, that
she's aware.
Really upset her.
But then she notices, because she's saying, "What did you say?" And she's looking at her, and she sees her necklace, and it's got the sword logo. Very interesting.
Well, what's interesting is, I think she was having a moment because she was like thrown back that she's talking about her brother. And then, she goes, I think she's digging for information. I think she works for Sword. They've broke in. We've seen them trying to prod to get in. She's in. And, what you noticed about it was other people in the town think something's off with her too. Because at the same time this thing's going on, we look at Vision, and he is having just the dandiest of conversations with, what was that guy's name?
Herb.
That was Herb. And, Herb's wanting to say stuff. He's mentioning something like, hey, Miss, she's not from around here. She's like, she doesn't have a house. And, it was just kind of weird because he was wanting to say something, but then Agnes, anyways, she was right there with him and looked at him and said, don't say too much, or like not really said anything, but just gave him a look like, stop.
Because he was about to say they were all...
They know something too.
Prisoners or something. They know what's going on. They're aware.
They're more aware, but like they're scared. They're really scared to see what's going to... Like they don't want... I think they're scared of Wanda because especially... when Vision goes back inside, Wanda done kicked her out. Like, she wasn't talking. She was just saying, calm down. And then when Wanda tried to make her leave, she's like, no. And then she left.
Yeah.
And Wanda had a very, very crazy look upon her. She's just like crazy eyes. So what's that mean? Is she losing it? Is she... Like, it seems like she's created this barrier, and the barrier looks like TV energy. And that's a weird thing to say, but if you look... I
don't think she made that.
You don't think she made that, but she has unbelievable power there. And that's the thing. Like, I think she brought... To be honest, my theory is she brought Vision's dead body to that place and revived him. Somehow, in that world, she revived him. Like, you said something, maybe she actually recreated the Mind Stone.
That's based on that clip in the trailer that's probably playing on screen right now.
So, if she recreated the Mind Stone, this is a world that the Mind Stone could create.
Yeah.
I mean, a Mind Stone could create a world for people. Maybe, I don't know. We never really got a good feel for what the stones could do in the Avengers movies on some things, especially with the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
Is really one of the most underused stones we saw.
But I think it's kind of it's weird because, like, she picks up Rambeau and throws her out of the place, and she goes through, like, the field of, and I quote from the closed caption, electric field. So she goes flying through that, and all of a sudden, military trucks pull up, and they don't, like, ask her if she's okay, so it's not like she's with them. They point guns at her.
No, and it's very important to point out that we looked for markings, but we could not find any markings. However, the town is real. You'll see a sign of the town. It's real that they're in. She's just distorted it. So she's went to a real town and taken, or somebody has taken.
I think it's an abandoned town based on this picture that's probably on screen from the trailer.
Yeah, I saw that, and
it's got empty holes. Like it's like.
If you saw also, if you also saw how like digitized things would look when she changed stuff, digitized. It's almost like
she's in a VR that she has ultimate control over, and she uses her powers to make it exactly how she wants.
So, and that's what like, are these her powers? Like, my question is, does she have these powers outside of this world, or are her powers just amplified? Because we've never seen her manipulate matter like this outside.
Yeah.
So.
We've never seen Vision with super speed. We actually got saw it in this episode.
We saw his super speed. He's fast.
And it was the episode that Pietro was mentioned, and her kid with super speed was born. So that's when we actually see it. So it's a little weird.
Well, also, like, I don't know what to make out of this episode. As more questions got raised than answered, but it's kind of how we figured it would go.
And just pointing out one more thing. When she gets thrown through the wall, if you go back and watch the trailer or just probably look on screen yet again, there's a different clip of her getting thrown out of Wanda's town.
Yeah.
And it's in the town, and it's daytime, and as soon as she goes outside the wall, it's night.
It's a great trailer. It's an older trailer. It's kind of a trailer that helped get us excited for this show. But, like, you're right. We did not see the act of it happening. We just saw that could just be a scene that was cut that they'd gotten ready. Or maybe we'll get to see the actual her being thrown out in the next episode. We don't know.
And there's some more footage that you could kind of just see was in the same, like, 70s period. So it makes me think next episode's going to explain kind of what happened right at the beginning. You know how some shows do that. And then it's going to keep going with this, like, Partridge Family theme.
Well, I will point out, Vision seems to be alive. It really does feel like he is a conscious. At least
he's very aware.
If he's not alive, at least his consciousness is alive in this world. So far, that's all we can obtain. I mean, I don't think we can say I think he's alive. I think his consciousness is alive. I just don't know if he'll exist outside of this world that they've created. So, I don't know.
Daniel had a theory earlier. This is my favorite theory because I thought it was funny. He said maybe it's Vision's dead body in there, but his conscience is running, and since he's in her little world with all the technology feeding in, that's how he's alive. So if you take it out, he'll die. So, and like, at first I thought it was silly, but the more you think about it, the more likely it could be. It seems dark for a TV show rated 14, but...
Well, I doubt it'll show him being all gray-bodied at the thing. But, like, we also watched some of the trailers, and knowing this episode, you watch some of the trailers, it looks like the Army eventually decides that they're moving in, and they're going to try to enter this place by force. And it looks like Vision and Wanda team up to fight it off. Or maybe it's some special dark enemy that's coming to get his kids that they have to fight off. We really don't know. Trailers can be deceiving, so we really don't want to put a whole lot of stock in what the trailers show us and try to piece that together. But they're going to prepare for a fight in the upcoming episodes. Probably not next episode. Next episode...
It'll probably be near the...
I'm really hoping next episode's the Halloween episode.
Yeah, that's the one I'm really looking forward to. I think that's when we'll really see villains play out, and if Mephisto and Agatha Harkness are actually coming, or if it's
there villains, or is she the villain?
I mean, it's possible, but in the comics, she is like a pawn. We're gonna find out. There's a lot of questions to be asked. I don't think there's really much more we can say on it, because
I can say this: we still have not met Ralph.
No, we didn't.
You see, at first I thought in that episode that so Herb and Agatha are together. But no, I don't know why I thought that, but like we hadn't seen her husband. She keeps talking about him, and she's still talking about Ralph. So maybe her husband is Mephisto.
Yeah.
Mephisto.
And if you want to know more about Mephisto, check the video with the card that's showing up on screen right now. Just click that and I'll take you to it. That's where we break down everything so far from episodes 1 and 2. Not 3, because there wasn't much, of why it could be him. And I mean... There's enough evidence to make you question if it will be him, but based on tonight, I mean, it could very well still happen. I just feel like it's going to go in a direction that is not going to be satisfying.
Well, let's put it this way, and a lot of people that are reviewing this, some of the bigger YouTube channels, they're talking about this is going to be the House of M.
Yeah.
And I think it is going to be their version of the House of M, but don't look for things to... turn out like they did in that comic book series. I think they'll use the main ideas, but I think they'll twist it, because if we've seen anything from Marvel, they twist their storylines. Every storyline they get, they use a little bit of. They might show you some Easter eggs to keep you excited, but it's ultimately always different, and a good deal different in some cases.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, if you're reading House of M to, figure out what's going to happen next, I promise you're just going to see Easter eggs and stuff.
I feel like the only thing they're going to use is her own world. And it's going to be just this bubble of sports.
I'd like to I still would like to believe that there's somehow a tie into the multiverse, but now after this episode, I can see it's a dimension on our plane. So if anything else, she's created just a small pocket dimension inside our world.
When Mephisto takes the children is when she, like, her mind, and that's when she makes the House of M. So maybe that'll be how it actually gets created, and that'll be maybe part of the plot of Doctor Strange as he's going to try and find her in the multiverse. So there's potential in that, and that could be like the last thing we see, because then, you know.
After watching this episode and trying to break it down a little bit more, we've seen that people know what's going on, but maybe they don't know what all's going on. We have SWORD. They've broke in.
Yeah.
They're just prodding for information. Now, we've seen the military people that they are all standing by, all on the outside of this place, but I don't think they're working with SWORD based off how they treated her. They were very surprised somebody came out, and it's like, oh, this ain't our person. So she's going to have to be interrogated. Just too many questions, not enough answers right now. So we've seen episode 3. It was still a good episode. It's not like it was more slow paced at sometimes. I guess a lot of pregnancy humor between how quickly she's having a baby.
Yeah.
And we got some odd things happening. Andrew, what are you rating this episode?
Probably a 5 or 6 out of 10. I feel like it's just very drawn out.
Well, I think it's still a good episode, and I really like the way it ended. I think it's more of a 7, if you ask me. I think this episode really gets us excited and wanting to watch the next episode, which is what it's supposed to do. And do we have anything else that's spectacular news for our audience?
Oh, while we've been recording, Morbius was delayed again into 2022.
Oh, man.
That's not good news, but it's news.
Well, we might get a vampire movie in the MCU before the...
When was it supposed to come out?
I thought it was 2021.
It was supposed to come out, like, soon.
I think originally it was a 2021 movie.
It was. I think it was, like, May or something.
Well, filming.
But that's all we got for you guys today. We're Everyday Nerds. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you are a subscriber, thank you for watching. We love that you keep checking us out. And be sure to punch that bell regardless if you're a new or old subscriber. It tells you every time we post a video. So you can just click the notification on your phone and come check us out.
And please, guys, show us some love in the comments. Let us know if you think we're right, if we think we're wrong. Or just say, hey, we love all the comments.
And make sure to share this video. Very important.
And next time.
Peace out.